from the National Hot Rod Association, Championship Drag Racing, the 34th Annual US Nationals. Speeds in excess of 285 miles per hour, covering the quarter-mile distance in less than 5 seconds. Drag racing from the NHRA. The Winston Drag Racing season, consisting of 16 races throughout the U.S. and Canada and representing a $15 million purse. The most recent championship event was the 7th Annual Quaker State North Star Nationals at Brainerd International Raceway in Minnesota. There, some of the closest racing of the year came in the finals. In Top Fuel, Joe Amato outran Darrell Gwynn by just a few feet to clinch his third 1988 win. That victory pushed him a bit further ahead of the charging Gwynn in the series championship race. The funny car champion was John Force, taking the victory when his competition, John Martin, had to slow with mechanical problems. In winning his second 88 title, Force moved into the number 3 position overall, menacing the leaders Mark Oswald and Kenny Bernstein. Finally, if the racing was close in Top Fuel, it was phenomenal in Pro Stock. A slight starting line advantage by Tony Christian gave him a victory over Bob Glidden, with the difference at the finish line representing just a few inches. Wow! That win moved Tony ahead of Bruce Allen and closer to the points leader Glidden. Now the racing spotlight focuses on the most important race of the year, the 34th Annual NHRA US Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Hello everybody, I'm Dave McClelland and this is it, the US Nationals, the biggest race of the year. There's bonus points up for grabs in the Winston Drag Racing Series. There is a purse topping $1.3 million, the largest field of competitors at any event throughout an entire season. The US Nationals is the don't-miss race of the year for racer or fan alike. And the action, it has been absolutely spectacular up to this point. For the details, let's go to my good friend and co-host, Steve Evans.
David, every professional drag racing crew always feels that they're trying as hard as they can. Then along comes the US Nationals, and they seem to find there's just a little bit more that can be done. Maybe that's one of the reasons we have the quickest funny car field in drag racing history, led by Kenny Bernstein in this car at 5.33 seconds. Now, earlier in round 1 funny car action, the top 3 Winston Drag Racing Series points earners survived: Mark Oswald, Kenny Bernstein, and John Force. Don Prudhomme, however, saw his chances of the 5th Winston title literally go up in smoke when he lost traction in round 1.
Yeah, it was important to us at Indy here, but, you know, we've been struggling through this race, and we got into a clutch problem with the car. It just couldn't seem to sort it out here, and we just working on it right now, trying to fix it.
Your hopes are still alive, though?
Oh, yeah. It's never over till it's over, as they say, and we'll go right to Pomona, and we'll fight all the way trying to get that championship.
Well, when the qualifying dust settled yesterday, Top Fuel was also the quickest field in the history of drag racing, led by Eddie Hill's 5.08. Could a new record be far away? And there, the top 4 Winston points earners survived: Joe Amato, Darrell Gwynn, Eddie Hill, and Gene Snow. Now, in Pro Stock, Warren Johnson's Oldsmobile is on the pole, but based on his first-round performance, you'd have to say that Bob Glidden and his Thunderbird are closing in. David?
Thank you, Steve. Working with us today at the U.S. Nationals is the 3-time Winston Top Fuel champion, Don Garlits. Don, the action has been spectacular thus far. What can we look forward to?
Well, I'll tell you, with that average ET of the winning cars of 5.16 in the first round, I've never seen anything like that. We can expect some O's for sure for this race is over.
Times in the 5 flat category. 5.0 something seconds. That's what we're looking forward to in Top Fuel as Eddie Hill does his burnout to race against the points leader, Joe Amato. The ET, the elapsed time, the time it takes the car to travel a quarter of a mile, 1,320 feet from a standing start.
And Dave, you know that average ET of 516 is partially due to this heavy air. It's a cool, cloudy day here at Indy, and that's perfect.
We're riding with Eddie Hill as he is backing up after his burnout. That's his wife, Ursi, coming into view, directing him back into his own tracks. Hill is a two-time winner on the National Event Trail this season, while Joe Amato is the defending U.S. Nationals champion. This the most prestigious event of them all. Don, you talked about heavy air. What do you mean?
Well, it means that the air is real cool, and so when the cylinder is charged from the supercharged, it gets a real dense, heavy charge.
That allows these cars to make over 4,000 horsepower. Eddie Hill is the quickest man in drag racing. He ran a 4.99 second elapsed time on a qualifying run at another event. But that was qualifying. Never under the pressure of competition have we seen elapsed times like those being recorded in racing today. Hill in the far lane, Amato in the near lane. And Eddie Hill smokes the tires. Joe Amato streaks past him for the win. A 5.07 second elapsed time at 280 miles an hour. What a ride.
Yeah, and you can see that what a fine edge these cars run on. When you're running in the O's, it's either smoke the tires or run a real good time.
Back in the funny car pit area, Austin Coyle, the crew chief for John Force, directing the activities of his crew as an engine change going on in John Force's funny car.
Dave, you know, one of the problems with this heavy air, the engines can make so much power, it's hard to keep one alive.
That just validates the need for an exceptionally good crew chief and crew to continue in competition at an event of this stature.
And you just saw one right there, Lee Beard making the final adjustments on Gary Ormsby's car. He's one of the best in the business.
Ormsby from Roseville, California, has won twice on the National Event Trail during his career, while Frank Hawley is a two-time Winston champion at the wheel of a funny car, now driving the Top Fuel dragster owned by Larry Minor. Hawley, of course, the operator of the drag racing school in Gainesville, Florida. At the far end of the racetrack, the celebration has started. First Tim Richards, then his wife Jerry, and Joe Amato's a happy man.
All right, back to back. This guy have confidence.
Hey, back to back.
Back to back.
88.
88.
Huh? You did it last year? We're going to do it again
That's
this year.
not confidence. All right.
Let's do it.
Joe Amato, irrepressible in his exuberance. Hawley in the far lane of the racetrack, racing against Ormsby in the near lane. Hawley's made a great transition.
And this is a tremendously powerful car. Larry Minor's car could run a 5-flat any time.
And Hawley breaks on the starting line. Ormsby the winner. The elapsed time for Ormsby, 5.26 seconds. His speed only 267 miles an hour. Frank Hawley done for the day. The 1988 NHRA US Nationals is being brought to you by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. And by Castrol, the motor oil engineered for today's smaller cars. And by Motorcraft. Get the peace of mind of doing it right with the right parts. Motorcraft quality parts. In the funny car pit area, 82-year-old George Hoover helping get his son Tom's car ready for the next round of competition. Tom defeated Don Prudhomme in the first round, and Don Garlits, there's no limit on age.
No, there isn't. Fact of the matter is, I'm looking at the son over there doing nothing and the old man doing all the work.
Minneapolis Raceway Park. All the work paid off for John Force. His car is together and into the staging lanes. Funny car racing will be coming up in just a few moments. Right now, we continue with round number 2 of Top Fuel Eliminator, where Dennis Forcell is taking on Gene Snow. A huge crowd jammed into Indianapolis Raceway Park for this, the biggest race of the year. Forcell, at the age of 47, is the oldest rookie in Top Fuel racing, but he's got a lot of competition credits on his resume. A many-time national event winner in Top Alcohol dragster. Gene Snow, the veteran at the age of 51 out of Fort Worth, Texas, debuted a new car at this event, and Don Garlits, that's difficult.
Well, I'll tell you, it took a lot of nerve to come in here and get on a brand new car when he had a good winning car in the trailer.
Don, this new car looks very similar to the old one. What's the differences?
Well, Dave, it's just a few little small technical changes that Gene wanted to make that he felt was necessary.
Talk about rolling the dice, bringing a brand new car to the biggest race of them all. And Dennis Purcell smokes the tires. And crew chief Chris Eckert registers his approval. Gene Snow, 5.07 seconds. His speed, 275 miles an hour. Snow adding to the performance flavor of this U.S. Nationals.
The pressure is on this man right here, Darrell Gwynn, because he has seen Joe Amato win his round and go 5.07. If he's going to stay alive in this points chase, he's got to win.
It's a four-car race at the moment. Gwynn is in second for the total season championship. Amato is first. Hill and Snow not far behind. Here's the man that won that Winston title last season, Dick LaHaye. Darrell Gwynn is the winningest driver in Top Fuel racing thus far this season. He already has notched 4 national event championships, but still, Amato, with his consistent performance, maintains his points lead. And to show you how tough the competition is, defending champ LaHaye has won only a single event. Let's go to Steve with Gene Snow.
Well, a lot of people were shaking their head. Why would you bring a new car to the biggest race of the year when you had a winning car?
Well, if you think about it like this, at Atlanta 3 years ago, I came out with a short car and ended up being runner-up to Pastorini on that Monday rain out. Last year at Dallas, a 508 with a new car. I feel good about new cars.
You're a tinkerer, aren't you?
I can't stand it to be still.
Gene Snow, the pioneer of the high gear only direct drive Top Fuel racer.
Well, Dave, you'll find transmissions in both of these cars. Both Gwynn and LaHaye are on the conservative side when it comes to experimenting with new things. And LaHaye, he's trying to get back his performance edge, and of course Darrell Gwynn is trying to catch Amato.
So Don, I guess you could say, unlike Gene Snow, neither one of these drivers could be considered much of a gambler.
No, they're going to run exactly what they know works best for them.
What a race! And it is Darrell Gwynn. The elapsed times showed Dick LaHaye had the quicker time, but Jerry Gwynn, the crew chief on his son Darrell's car, celebrating the 5:13 victory. Dick LaHaye had a 5:09. It was won on the starting line.
Look at that starting line advantage and the wheels in the air on that Gwynn car. LaHaye never had a chance. Why, he'd have had to run a 5:05 to beat Gwynn this afternoon. 14 hundredths of a second advantage, Don. That's what Darrell Gwynn put in the bank when he left the starting line, and that paid off at the finish by inches. There's the times, the 5:13 for Gwynn and the 5:09, oh so close, for Dick LaHaye. But it will be Darrell Gwynn that goes into the semifinal round of Top Fuel competition. It will not be an easy race. Look who he has to run. Gene Snow, who has the lane choice by virtue of a quicker elapsed time in the quarterfinals. Gary Ormsby will be racing Joe Amato, and Amato has the choice of lane. The racing in Top Fuel at the U.S. Nationals has been spectacular thus far, and you could say the same, Don Garlits, for their nitro-burning counterparts, Funny Car Eliminator. You certainly could. The competition has been very close, and the average ET in that first round of Funny Cars, the winners, was 5:38.
Don, when you consider the national record held by Don Prudhomme is 5.30. In competition, an average winning elapsed time of a 5:38 is positively incredible. This is Dale Baldy, driving the Oldsmobile-bodied Funny Car. He has won a single event this year, the Winter Nationals, but it was at the wheel of another car. He is facing the reigning Winston champ, the defending U.S. Nationals champion, and the low qualifier, Kenny Bernstein.
Dale Armstrong, his crew chief, is trying to get back some of that good performance that he had earlier in qualifying.
Don, it just shows you the elusive nature of championship drag racing. While Dale Armstrong is trying to regain the performance, this man, the crew chief on Joe Amato's Top Fuel dragster, Tim Richards, has been blessed with continuing performance improvements with every run.
And you can bet, even though Richards doesn't look happy, he's plenty happy about it. Now, these next two cars, Dale Pauldee and Kenny Bernstein, were within 1/100th of a second of each other in their performance time from the previous round.
And Kenny Bernstein, by just about a foot, defeats Dale Pauldee. His elapsed time, 5.38 seconds. His speed, 267 miles an hour. Don, that was a tremendous race. What happened?
Well, Dave, even though Dale Pauldie got a slight starting line advantage, Kenny Bernstein was able to parlay that performance of 5.38 seconds into a win, and Dale Pauldie's 5.40 just couldn't catch Bernstein.
A close race. Steve?
Even three-time Winston champions like Kenny Bernstein are still thrilled when they're in a great drag race, and that was a good one.
Oh, I felt him all the way. I never saw him, but I just knew he had to be there. Just a feeling you have. It was a good one.
Well, the numbers make it almost a dead heat. A 38 for you to his 40. He had a little edge off the mark.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we had a little power to get by, and we needed it. The car's a little soft still. It needs a little more, but they'll work on the clutch some more.
Will the racetrack take any more?
Well, I think so. Yeah, I still think that we're a little soft. We need to give her a little more.
See you in the semi.
Okay.
Kenny on the heels of that big win, putting even more pressure on Dale Armstrong, saying possibly a better elapsed time the next round.
Now here is Mr. Consistency. Mark Oswald has run that car 3 times in this event so far with a 5.37 second run.
Don, those times came in the last 2 qualifying rounds and the first round of competition today. Racing against Oswald from Saugus, California, is Tim Gross. Oswald is the current leader on the Winston Championship chase, winning 2 national events this season.
Makes you wonder what kind of pressure Gross is under right now. You know he's got to figure that Oswald's going to run another 5.37. That's how you tune your car, by what the other guy's going to run.
Gross smokes the tires. He has to lift off the throttle. Oswald wins it, and Don, it is another 5.37. The 4th in a row. Consistency is the name of the game for the Candies and Hughes cars. In the pit area, major maintenance going on the number 1 qualifier, the Oldsmobile of Warren Johnson. Pro Stock Racing coming up soon at the US Nationals. Along with Steve Evans and Don Garlits, and we're at the 34th annual running of the US Nationals, where the weather is unseasonably cool. In Gene Snow's pit area, they're making some changes, Don Garlits.
Yes, they are. These cars are requiring more fuel than they ever have before, and Gene is installing a bigger fuel pump on this car.
He's already run a 5.07 second elapsed time with his brand new car. Now we're in funny car racing. This is round number 2. Ed McCulloch against Chuck Etchels. This is absolutely the most incredible day of competition ever seen on any racetrack. Tremendous performances. And add to that the amazing consistency of the Candies and Hughes car.
You know, as unpredictable as a nitro funny car is, I don't ever recall, Mark Oswald, any funny car running the same number 4 times. Another 5.37.
Yeah, we're real happy. You know, we've just been putting it back the same, and it's been repeating. Now it'll become time to step it up a little bit. I was pretty conservative on the controls in the car that time. I think we might be able to step it up a little bit next round.
What could you have done inside to go quicker?
Oh, I could have put the clutch in a little quicker, but we were pretty sure that he couldn't run with us, and we wanted to be safe that time.
Well, safe certainly paid off with that 4th consecutive 5.37. Ed McCulloch, driving Larry Minor's car, is a 3-time champion here at the US Nationals. He won in 71, 72, and 1980. Chuck Etchels has yet to notch his first ever national event victory. In round number 1, Etchels raced against Brad Tuttle, who had absolutely no reason to believe he would be here. In his only qualifying pass, Brad Tuttle exploded an engine, which in turn disintegrated the fiberglass body. But on that run, Tuttle qualified for the 16-car field. He was uninjured, but a tremendous amount of damage was done to this race car. The only fiberglass body that this California racer had with him was destroyed in that explosion. It looked as though his trip to the U.S. Nationals was over.
For 2 days after that horrific explosion, Brad Tuttle sat in the grandstands watching funny car after funny car go down the racetrack trying to bump him out of the quick 16. But Brad's time held in the bump spot, number 16, and his spare body has arrived from California. But the real hero in this story, the only reason Brad Tuttle is in competition today, is because of a guy named Don, and we don't even know his last name. Tell us the story.
Well, what he works for my brother, and I contacted my brother and explained his situation right after it happened. And the guy that works for me got him on a rental truck and got him out here on his way. And 42 hours, here he is. Eyes swelled closed, feet swelled up. And, boy, I want to do it.
And he went to the wrong racetrack.
Yeah, he went to the 500 first and called us and said, "Where you at?"
Well, a guy named Don right now is in a Holiday Inn, and he's probably going to stay there the rest of the day. What do you think?
I think so. I don't think we could wake him up tomorrow. He'd still be sleeping.
A tribute to the dedication of today's drag racers. Brad Tuttle made the first round and lost to this man, Chuck Etchell.
Kind of reminds me of the time we blew an engine in Washington, D.C. and had to tow all the way to Calgary, Alberta and fix it and race on a Wednesday night. You get kind of tired, Dave.
This sport, Don, is just hard work. And McCulloch and his crew have put in their hours. Look at the time, 5.36 seconds, 272 miles an hour. McCulloch more than keeping pace with the rest of the field. Some 30 funny cars started qualifying 4 days ago to be a part of the Elite 16-car field. Now we are down to the round of 8, and only 2 cars remain in this quarterfinal round in the single elimination tournament that will lead to the eventual winner. Tom Hoover racing against John Force. Hoover, the upset winner against Don Prudhomme in round number 1. Force with a brand new engine. Don, as these 2 cars get ready, the U.S. Nationals is a race that is noted for great pronouncement. The word in the bid is that there may be an announcement out of the Garlits camp.
Well, we started construction on our 89 car, and we're putting together major sponsorship. So it looks like Big Daddy will be back in 89 with a top fuel team.
Don, we will be sorry to see you go. You're absolutely the best as a color commentator. Here's one of the best in funny car, 2-time winner in 1988, John Force. Against him in this round is Tom Hoover, with more than 2 decades of experience behind the wheel of both the top fuel dragster and a funny car. Let's go to Steve with Ed McCulloch.
Well, Kenny Bernstein was strong. Mark Oswald was stronger, but Ace, you just hit it out of the park. Low elapsed time of the day at a 5:36.
Well, you know, it's a tough old ball game out there. I mean, all of these guys are really running good. The racetrack's in superb condition. The weatherman is, I mean, you couldn't ask for anything any better. It just makes for outstanding drag racing, and that's what we're getting here.
Great job. See you in the semis.
Thank you.
McCulloch will race one of these 2 cars, either Tom Hoover or John Force in that semifinal round. Problems for Hoover as Force just blasts away from him at the start. Force elapsed time 5.44 seconds, a bit slower than the other cars. Maybe that new engine isn't producing quite the same power that the old one did. Ed McCulloch against John Force in the semifinal. McCulloch with a choice of lanes. The other pair matches the 2 big red cars. Mr. Consistency, Mark Oswald against Kenny Bernstein, with Oswald having the lane choice. That brings us to the semifinal round of Pro Stock Eliminator. The number 1 qualifier, Warren Johnson against Tony Christian. The factory hot rods. These cars run on racing gasoline. They're powered by 500 cubic inch engines, a very sophisticated drivetrain and suspension system. A crowd pleaser. That's the NHRA Pro Stock car that runs over 180 miles an hour. In the second round of racing, Warren Johnson out of Duluth, Georgia, defeated New Jersey's Frank Iaconio. Frank was at the wheel of his Pontiac Trans Am when, in the final few hundred feet of the racetrack, he watched Warren Johnson's Oldsmobile just pull away for the victory. That earned Johnson the right to race this man, Tony Christian, the most recent winner on the NHRA National Event Trail, who in the second round defeated Joe Lafone at the wheel of a very similar Chevrolet Beretta. Why did Christian win? Because his competition, Lafone, just could not wait for the green light. He left the starting line too soon, the red light indicating a disqualification, and Christian advanced into the semifinal. Now he is racing the number 1 qualifier, Warren Johnson. Lots of RPM building in these engines as the 2 drivers get ready to leave. A tremendous win for Johnson. He had the quicker reaction
reaction time at the start, and the quicker elapsed time, a 7:37, and that moves him into the final.
Tony Christian makes a valiant try, but Johnson does the job on him on the starting line and never gives up an inch of it because he just had a little bit more power, which is indicated by the 7:37 versus the 7:39 for Christian.
The speed for Johnson, 187 miles an hour. Steve? The number one qualifier, Warren Johnson, you continue to kind of slash your way through this field. It's going well for you.
Well, it was a pretty decent run. Nice, clean, straight run all the way through, so we're looking real good for the final.
A 7:37, about what you hoped for?
That was actually better than what I hoped for. That's all right.
Okay, Warren Johnson to the semis. Johnson obviously pleased with the performance of his Oldsmobile in the staging lanes. Joe Amato getting a hug from his wife, Jerry, coming up very shortly at the US Nationals, the semifinals of Top Fuel Eliminator. This has been a great weekend thus far for Bob Glidden. Yesterday, he won $25,000 cash in the Mr. Gasket Pro Stock Challenge final round. He defeated Bruce Allen. Allen in the finals for 4 consecutive years, lost under threatening skies to Bob Glidden by a 1/10 of a second, concluding this special 8-car race. The competitors earning the right to compete based on qualifying times throughout the season. Glidden with 64 national event wins to his credit, the winningest driver in NHRA history, raced against Kenny Delco in the second round of Pro Stock competition. Driving the Pontiac Trans Am, Kenny Delco felt the power of the Ford Thunderbird of Bob Glidden as he was outdistanced to the finish line. Glidden winning the second round race and earning himself the right to advance to the semifinals to match against Morris Johnson Jr. Johnson, the winner of the Grand Nationals this season, raced against Butch Leal in his second round pair. The two Pontiacs were close at the halfway mark, but Morris Johnson Jr. in the far lane began to make the move on Butch Leal. He pulled ahead ever so slightly till at the finish line it was a car length separating them, earning Johnson the right to race Bob Glidden in the semifinals. The winner here will move to the final round to race Warren Johnson for the Nationals title. Bob Glidden, by just a car length, goes into his 12th consecutive final round appearance at the US Nationals. His elapsed time, 7.37 seconds. What a race it will be when Warren Johnson and Bob Glidden race for the Pro Stock title. Bob Glidden has the choice of lanes by just 0.02 of a second.
Now, Dave, here's a man that just a few minutes ago told me he's going to run a 5:02.
What a prediction. We'll find out in a moment if he can live up to it. Steve? Another tremendous Pro Stock drag race. Morris might have got off the mark a little bit first, but your 7:37 handled it.
37 is, I think that's what Warren ran. Yeah, it was a very good race, Steve. I think Morris did leave a couple hundredths on me, but the Thunderbird thundered on this end.
You got an Oldsmobile that thundered just before you. You go in deadlocked early into the final.
I don't even know who's got lane choice. I saw his 37. If we win at 37, it's a heads-up deal.
Lane choice a big deal?
Hasn't been. Right now, both lanes are really good.
What a great final.
Thank you.
Steve, you can tell him he's got the choice of lanes by just 0.02 of a second. This is the Top Fuel semifinals. Darrell Gwynn in the far lane against Gene Snow. You heard Don say Snow has predicted a 5:02. That out of the brand new car.
Look at that! 5 seconds flat on Gene Snow. He almost went in the fours.
The first time ever in competition, a 5.00 second elapsed time. Gene Snow goes into the finals of the Nationals with the most dominant performance we have seen in a long time. Absolutely unbelievable racing at the US Nationals. Are totally crazy over what they just saw. They have witnessed the quickest elapsed time in the history of drag racing competition. 5.00 seconds. The time turned by Gene Snow, defeating Darrell Gwynn. Snow actually
miles ago.
Well, before Gene Snow crawled into this new race car, he told our friend Don Garlits he thought he'd run a 5:02. Well, Gene, you didn't. You ran 5 seconds flat.
5 seconds flat. Amazing. God, all I needed was that much more, and that'd have been it. That's wonderful. I don't know what to say. A brand new car. Gene Gaddy built the best. My crew's wonderful. Emily's great. This is great.
I have nothing to add to that. We'll see you in the semi.
Oh, thanks a lot. Okay.
Steve, you're so excited you just told him he's in the semis. Actually, Gene probably knows for sure he's in the finals. He'll race one of these two drivers, Joe Amato in the near lane against Gary Ormsby in the far lane. Based on performances, Amato has got the edge in this race.
He certainly has, and you can bet his mind is already on the finals because he looked up at the scoreboard and saw that big 5-second flat.
An incredible hill to climb for either one of these racers. And Ormsby smokes the tires for the second straight year. Amato's in the finals, but he's 11/100ths of a second behind Gene Snow. His time of 5:11 at 2:75. Crew Chief Tim Richards, the crew, and Joe Amato will be trying to find some additional performance. Don, what would you be thinking about if you were in Joe's position?
I'd be hunting everything. More fuel, more mag, spark leads, more blower boost. I mean, you got to do something to get 1/10 of a second.
Well, the question is now, can he possibly overcome Gene Snow's 5-second flat on the starting line? The funny car competition in the semifinal round coming to life. The Candies in Hughes Thunderbird, driven by Mark Oswald. What a weekend it has been for Oswald. Yesterday, he won the finals of the Big Bud Shootout against Jim Head, driving John Martin's car. Oswald, $50,000 richer as a result of this run. This another of the special 8-car field, based on qualifying times throughout the season, and for Oswald, another remarkable 5:37. Car owner Paul Candies exhibited the exhilaration of winning the Big Bud Shootout. Now in the semifinal round of the US Nationals, Mark Oswald is challenged by Kenny Bernstein. The two cars that have competed over the last several seasons for the Winston Championship, with each time Bernstein coming out on top. The last time Oswald won a Winston title was in 1984. And dominant performance by Kenny Bernstein is crew chief Dale Armstrong reacting to a 5:35, 269-mile-an-hour blast that moves Kenny Bernstein into the finals.
So that 5:35 becomes quick time in the eliminations thus far today. So obviously, Dale Armstrong has found some of that performance that they had earlier in this event.
Bernstein will race one of these two men. It will either be John Force or Ed McCulloch. Let's go to Steve with the man already in the finals.
5:35.
Well, that's good. That's back to where it has been the first couple of days. We kind of lost it, but we really stepped on it. It's amazing what that track will take right now.
The cool air, who would have thought?
Well, you saw Snow's 5:00, so the track can take it. Boy, I just feel great about it all.
Okay, congratulations, Kenny Bernstein. He could make it 2 in a row.
Steve, the smile on Kenny's face tells it all. He's happy with the performance. The emotion now showing as the crew pulls up.
Well, the Bernstein team would have to really be happy about this because they have worked very hard today. I've been in the pits. I've been watching them.
As we've said before, Don, nothing is easy in the sport of NHRA championship drag racing. Just ask Ed McCulloch or John Force. Race, and there is the quickest elapsed time of the event. 5.32 seconds, his speed over 273 miles an hour. Ed McCulloch has got to be favored over Kenny Bernstein in the finals.
Certainly has. John Force gave it his best shot at the starting line. Got a real nice advantage over McCulloch, and it looked like he might just be able to hold on. But the McCulloch car begins to come on and puts the daylight on Force by the time they get to the finish line.
McCulloch aiming for a record 4th U.S. Nationals Funny Car Crown.
When was the last time you were in a U.S. Nationals finals?
1980.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Just when Kenny Bernstein and his crew thought it was safe to go on the racetrack, here comes McCulloch. He throws more chips on the table. That's why they call him the Ace. Ed McCulloch and Kenny Bernstein, the funny car finals at the US Nationals. McCulloch has the choice of lanes. The final round coming up next. Question at the U.S. Nationals is, can this car run the first ever sub-5-second time in eliminations? Gene Snow will be trying in the Top Fuel final. Before we get to that, we've got the finals of Pro Stock Eliminator. Nearly 1,000 cars started competition here 4 days ago. Now we are down to 6. For his thoughts on the finals of Funny Car, here's Don Garlits.
The Funny Car final is shaping up to be one heck of a car race. They're very evenly matched. Bernstein, 535. Ed McCulloch, 532. It's going to be a race of the crew chiefs. Which one of these crew chiefs are able to extract that tiny little bit of extra performance? Now, I talked to both of these guys, and I think that Dale Armstrong is going to make the most radical move to try to do it. Now, he'll either strike the tires or win the race.
Dale Armstrong, the highest paid crew chief in motorsports today. Nearly $300,000 a year, and Bernstein says he's worth every penny. The finals in Pro Stock is a family affair. Bob Glidden and his wife Etta, along with sons Rusty and Billy, making up the crew. For Warren Johnson, it is his wife Arlene and son Kurt that do the work on that Oldsmobile. Earlier, Steve took a look at both operations.
The Pro Stock final between defending champion Bob Glidden in his Ford Thunderbird from Whiteland, Indiana, and Warren Johnson in his Oldsmobile, the low qualifier from Duluth, Georgia, is more than a battle between two men. It's really a battle of drag racing clans, a friendly family feud, if you will. Earlier, I talked to the two wives who, along with their sons, may play a critical role in the overall outcome of this fight. Well, Arlene, certainly it's Bob versus Warren as drivers, but these are family operations, and in some ways it's Arlene and Kurt versus Eddie and Rusty and Billy.
Well, it is, in a sense. Kurt works real hard at the shop. I don't do as much as Etta does at the shop. I do all my work at home, and it is when we're on the starting line, but when it's all over, we're still friends.
Etta, in some ways, this is a competition between you and your sons and Arlene and her son, because you both play an active role.
Oh, definitely, and as soon as we get in the staging lanes from there until both cars get to the end of the line, yes, this is a very competitive sport, and I wish them well, but I wish us better.
As the family feud continues, Bob Glidden, we're riding with him as he gets set to race against Warren Johnson. And Warren Johnson leaves a red light on the starting line, an automatic win for Bob Glidden, his 9th U.S. Nationals title in his 12th consecutive final round appearance. Etta Glidden absolutely jubilant with his 65th national event victory, the all-time winner, an incredible record, Don Garlits.
Dave, Bob Glidden owns Indianapolis Raceway Park. These two cars so incredibly matched. Both cars came into this round with a 7:37 elapsed time. It's no wonder that Warren Johnson red-lighted. You have to get the starting line advantage.
Don, let's ride with Bob Glidden one more time on the way to his 65th national event title.
Bob Glidden comes out of the car giving himself a round of applause, and we join in it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, what a win, Steve.
Did you see his red light?
No, I didn't know he red light, but I thought I left on a pretty good light, and he was out of car lane, so, you know.
And a nice capper, 7:34.
34? I thought we made a pretty nice run, but got out of shape a little, but the air's so good. What a race.
The ultimate understatement by the sport's winningest driver, the crew chief for Ed McCulloch, Bernie Federley, backing him up into his own track. On the other side of this quarter-mile racetrack, Dale Armstrong doing the same for his driver, Kenny Bernstein.
You can tell by the pensive look on Armstrong's face. He's wondering, did I make the right decisions?
Well, of course, Don, that's got to be on Federley's mind, too.
Well, of course it is, Dave, because this is the most important race of the year as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure they feel the same way.
Here we go. before, but McCulloch had the advantage at the start.
One of the rare instances when Bernstein was actually late. Dale Armstrong made all the right decisions, but had to stand helplessly on the starting line as Ed McCulloch outdrove Kenny Bernstein to win the drag race.
Here's Steve with the champion.
This is the drag race to win. This is the drag race everybody remembers who won.
This is the fourth time I've won this. I don't think anybody else has ever won it 4 times in the funny car category. It was the first one I ever won. I'm telling you, I'm as excited this time as I was the first time. And for Miller, for Oldsmobile, for Bernie, Larry Miner, our whole crew, I mean, I love it. It's great.
And you earned this one behind the steering wheel. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Steve.
A subdued and emotional Ed McCulloch. Only one race remains at the Nationals. To find out about that, here's Don.
Race fans, you are privileged to watch drag racing history in the making. This car has just run 5 seconds flat in the semifinals. I talked to Gene Snow. He says, looked me straight in the eye and said, Big, we're going to run 498 on this next run. 498 would be the national record, the first official run under 5 seconds. You know, I believe it's going to happen. Joe Amato ran a fine 511, but 511 doesn't hold a candle to 498.
Joe Amato has got to be wondering, is there any way to repeat as the top fuel champ at the US Nationals? Continues for Ed McCulloch. Look at that. He jumped right in the arms of Bernie Federley, his crew chief. You need only to take a look at this to realize how important the U.S. Nationals race really is. This huge crowd looking on as Joe Amato gets set to defend his U.S. Nationals title, but never before has he been challenged so seriously. By that I mean he has never faced a driver who has predicted his car will run in the 4s. Moments ago, Steve had a chance to take a look at Gene Snow's new car.
For the past few months, Gene Snow and his crew have been keeping a list on the trailer wall of new features for next year's race car. For one thing, they no longer run a transmission, so why not move the engine back about 6 inches closer to the rear tires for better traction? And maybe tilt it down about, a half a degree or so. But they're afraid if they did that in a car of the same length, 275 inches, it would wheel stand. So they figured next year's car will go right to the limit of the rules, 300 inches in wheelbase. And their car was a little bit heavy. They said next year we'll go to magnesium body panels and magnesium bolts and get right down to that 1,900 pounds with Gene on board. And finally they said, wait a minute, why wait till next year? They called Texas chassis builder Gene Gaddy. They said, Gene, can you have a car ready for Indy? He said, you sure you want a new car at Indy? They said, yeah. He said, I'll have one. Well, it came in here unpainted. They take it to a paint shop every night, and the paint scheme keeps changing day by day as it's completed. A lot of people laughed, and they said, only the snowman would bring a brand new car to the biggest drag race of them all. They're not laughing anymore. The quickest car in the history of NHRA drag racing.
5 seconds flat, the best time thus far for Snow.
But the big question is, can he run that 4? He says he can, Dave.
But, Don, we shouldn't forget about this man, Joe Amato. He's run 507. His car is a little bit shorter than Gene's, but it also uses the high gear only direct drive system. What a race this is going to be. And Amato up in smoke, still brakes. Amato is back on the throttle, and Amato powers his way to a second consecutive U.S. Nationals title. What an incredible climax to the excitement of championship drag racing as a tire-smoking Joe Amato puts away a broken Gene Snow. Don, just another example of never knowing what's going to happen.
Well, that's what we're faced with, Dave. The cars have got so much power. It's a fine line between smoking the tires, not smoking the tires, or breaking those driveline parts. I mean, you run 5 seconds flat, you're really putting the pressure on every little piece that delivers that power to the rear wheels. Very quick thinking for Joe Amato. He saw the problem and took advantage of it.
Here's Steve with the final survivor of this 5-day battle.
To win this race just one time is something. To win it back-to-back, as Joe Amato has done, well, that's really special. Joe, congratulations.
I'm not proud of how I won, Steve, but I guess whoever goes across the finish line wins.
Well, that was tenacity.
I mean, the car left, it did a wheel stand, and it smoked the tires, I think, and then it came down. And then I paddled it once, and then I saw snow, had trouble. So then I got on it again, and it started fishtailing, and it was like going all around. Then he didn't come, so I paddled it a couple times. It was like I was on ice, you know. But my crew did an outstanding job, you know, Tim Richards and all the guys. I mean, the keystone key parts, that one's for you guys.
Joe Amato, U.S. Nationals champion twice in a row.
Thanks, Steve, and thanks to you, Don Garlits, for a great year. Best of luck racing next season.
Well, thank you very much, Dave, and I'm really looking forward to an exciting 1989.
For Steve Evans, I'm Dave McClellan saying so long. The executive producer of Diamond P Sports is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John B. Mullen. The 1988 NHRA U.S. Nationals have been brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. And by Ford. Have you driven a Ford lately? Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by Peak Antifreeze. Only Peak gives you peak performance.
I would say that art